And here's the thing that's wrong right now with the job hunting system today. Right now, how people think when you're out looking for a job, you think, I need to find the open box on the org chart, right? You're looking for that open box on the org chart because that's how you're going to get work again. So everybody in the world is looking for that open box on the org chart. So what happens is 400 people are competing for that one, right? Isn't that what you're seeing with some of the jobs you're applying for, that hundreds of people are applying for the same thing? So you apply for that job and you put together a really nice resume and you send it in and, you don't hear anything, and maybe one day they call you up and they say, we're interested in talking, so they bring you into some interview and you get all hopeful and you get dressed up again in your new clothes that you just bought at the Goodwill, and you think I'm kidding. I've done this, so I know. But you go in and you're trying to do the best of the world, but inside you're feeling, like kind of crap because you don't have a lot of confidence and you're kind of shaken and scared, and you go through and hopefully you do well. And then you go home and your friends say, how'd it go? And you say, I think I did okay. And then you wait. And you wait. And you wait, right? I mean, isn't that what happens? And it's just kind of like, and then you start to crash. And then you don't hear from them if you don't get the job. I mean, because they never tell you that you haven't made it in most cases. They just disappear. And maybe you get brought in. But you know what? Out of those 400 people that applied for that job, only one person got it. So 399 people failed. That is a losing model. It is a losing model that is depressing at its core. And so what I want to share with you is a fact that most people are not aware of. This fact: new jobs are created every single day. And you got to stop applying for jobs that are existing jobs and open jobs and start thinking differently. People create jobs in companies because they have needs that are not being met. They have objectives that they can't reach with the internal staff that they have. And if you look at the workplace you just came out of, my guess is that they created jobs the year they let you go. They actually created new jobs for people. And this is a fundamental shift in thinking, because when you know that people are constantly creating jobs, that gives you the opportunity to position yourself as somebody who can help them address an existing need that they have that isn't being solved. I'll give you one example. My husband used to work for Thrivent. You guys know Thrivent? Downtown Minneapolis used to be Lutheran Brotherhood. And I can talk like all those good Lutherans down there too. So anyway, my husband was in the HR department. And his company, and this was like in the late 1980s, early 90s, his company was going through a quality initiative. That's when quality was a big deal. Some of you may have been in organizations that had quality programs. Yeah. So his company was going through this, and his CEO was out there all the time talking about quality, quality, quality. And my husband came home one day and he said, he really needs a vice presidential or director level person that's a high level person that's out there being his right arm, leading the quality charge in the company. It's like him, and then there's this gap between all these people who are supposed to implement. I said, Fred, that's a perfect opportunity. Why don't you create a job? And he said to me, Jill, you don't understand corporations. And I said, what don't I understand? I've been offered jobs that they were going to create for me all the time. And he said, no, companies only have a finite amount of positions. There's no way they'd create this job. So I went away and I typed up a job description and I typed up a proposal for why he would be a perfect candidate for this job that didn't exist. And he laughed at me and said this was stupid. Until he came home 4 months later and he said, you won't believe it. Kay Owen, right down the hall from me, just got promoted. And she's now the VP of quality for the whole company. All right, you guys, jobs are created all the time because somebody sees a need, and it's imperative for you to start thinking about seeing the need and bringing ideas, not selling yourself. See the difference here? bringing ideas to people who have problems you can solve or goals you can help them achieve. So this is what I want to talk with you about today, because this is what I call job creation. And it's really about thinking about how to create the job that you want. And it may involve, in the way I talk about it, it may involve getting in with the company initially to do a project for them. And because they like the work that you do in the project, big companies today are so lazy, overworked, that they're not going to go out and interview a gazillion people if they've done work with you on a project. But job creation, coming in with an idea, a real idea that they could maybe use. And your idea doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. A lot of people say, well, how can I come in with an idea if I don't know what's going on? You have a brain. You have a brain, and you have worked with other companies before, and they have also had problems that you have solved. And so you need to start thinking, what kind of problems did I solve from my previous employer? What issues were they facing, and how did I tackle them? And if you had any initiative at all in your previous positions, you were doing that as just a natural part of what you were thinking about. But now, when you're in a job-seeking mode, you go into this, oh, I have to follow the rules thing, and that just doesn't work. You can't follow the rules. The rules are not set up for job seekers. The rules are set up for corporations to make it easy for them to quickly sort people into piles and decide who to invite back or not. And you can play by that game, but that game you have 1 out of 399, or 1 out of 400 chances of losing or winning, 399 chances of failing. You can take control of things and do things fundamentally differently. Now, my work is primarily in sales, and so I deal with a lot of customers. Customers are people who sit in big companies and medium-sized companies for the most part. And I want to show you, though, why you cannot play by their rules, because there's a real fundamental reason behind this. This is the reason you can't play by their rules. And you think I'm kidding, but that is the exact reason you cannot play by their rules, because honest to God, where is your resume in there? There's no way you can get any attention. I mean, look at it. You know, even if you had the most perfect resume in the entire world for that particular position, this harried woman cannot find it. The average corporate decision maker today has 59 hours of work sitting on his or her desk. If they're with a bigger company, they get approximately 150 to 300 emails a day. They are dying. They're dying. They are so overworked because the company has let you go and let all the people in their organization go. And there are just the remaining survivors who are struggling to stay up on top of the job. So you can either play the game this way and let your resume disappear in there, or you can say, I'm going to do something different. You need to do something to stand out from the crowd, because the way the game is set up does not allow you to stand out from the crowd. It simply allows you to fade right in. And so everything we're going to talk about from now on is about how you can stand out from the crowd. And the first thing I want to do is take you inside the head of the decision maker, because that is the key. You need to start looking at everything you do from their perspective. This is really interesting, because you're out there trying to get a job. You are focused on me, me, me. How can I get a job? How can I, get them to like me? How can I? But you know what? What if you focused on them? What if you started thinking from their perspectives and got off from your I need to get a job and totally moved it around until you were standing from their shoes and you were thinking from their hat? Because you know what? When you start thinking about that, you will do things differently.